2.
Hello everyone, MasterZone1001 here, and in a previous video I did a HardOps tutorial for the very first HardOps insert, just showing how you could, duplicate your cube and do a couple of unions in order to create an interesting type of insert. And I wanted to kind of revisit that in the latest version of Blender just to see how Blender has actually grown stronger since that example, and also a good example of showing why things are worthy of a revisit. So for a recap, previously we used HardOps to merge everything together like so, and then we used boxes to cut everything off from the top, and then we had a unified shape. So let's actually start Blender over, and I'm going to press Control tilde and make sure that I'm in my HardOps helper, and we're going to set it to use exact instead of fast if you're using Blender 2.91 or later. So we'll just duplicate this cube over, we'll press SX to scale it down, we'll select both of these and choose Union. We will duplicate this cube, R90, and because we freely moved it, we already broke our snapping. So at this point, that's when I like to use vertex snapping. We can press GY, hold Control to snap here, move it over, select both of these, union them together. And we can do the same thing here, just move it, snap it back, maybe bring this face in, select both of these, and union. And you might notice that I'm being a little precise when it comes to these particular booleans, and that is because over time with this particular new boolean algorithm, I've come to realize that it does require fairly equal geometry, and that overshooting or flushing is just not recommended. So if we press Alt V and we look at our wireframe, we see that the result doesn't look bad at all. In fact, we have all of our holes for everywhere where it's been joined. Another way to look at that is to just go inside of perspective mode, and I will use this 3D mouse to just kind of look around, and we could see that the booleans worked out. However, I still need to spend more time getting acquainted with this mouse. However, before progressing this on to the next step, this is where I'll just use mod scroll to bring back one of the booleans, which is bool scroll. I keep calling it mod scroll. And we'll first Control A, apply scale, Control B, C to clamp it, and we'll just roll the wheel. And there's one extra edge that will need to be dissolved, and then all is well in the world. So just by putting an edge in between the first point and the last point of our arc, it'll just make it easier for us to come back to later when you see. So we'll select this one as well, and we'll just press Control B, and we see that we need to apply to scale, and then press Control B, and we're able to put our edge loops in, and we're just moving right along. So we'll bring this one back and apply to scale. We'll also bring it back and take this moment to bevel this, dissolve that one edge and not the wrong edge. We'll press J to connect those, and so far so good. However, we do want to bring back our previous shape over here and also take a moment to do this. And I spend a lot of time kind of dissecting the steps I do, trying to figure out how each step could be done subsequently faster, and how slices of processes can be taken out in order to fully optimize it to being just a truly one-click endeavor. And this particular operation is no exception. You see how I went through as far as the preparation goes, and the reason that I put all these lines will become apparent whenever I jump to circle and I hold Control in order to use the dot that's created in the center of that edge as a jump off point to begin bringing my circle down. And so we will just shift that to live, and I'll just select this top face, and we'll Control click mark in order to just give it a reverse bevel. And we'll take this moment to press Shift V and bring up the box cutter transformer, and I'm just going to hold Shift and move that over, and I'll hold Shift and move this one over as well, and it appears that I'm just going to eyeball it in the end, even though I could have put circles precisely in the middle of all these edges. In fact, let's press Shift V and turn off the transformer, because if it stays up a moment too long, it will begin to haunt you. So we're just bringing down our extrusion, and I'm just going to select this top face and Control click mark in order to perform a reverse bevel. So if we press Alt V, this is basically our shape so far. And there's a lot of routes we can go with this, but in order to show how HardOps and boxcutter has improved over the course of even this latest release of HardOps, we can select this shape and press QOT, and first we're a box, which is you know, kind of close. But if we press spacebar, we can actually go to convex, which convex is just cool. I just look at it, even though this isn't an option either. It's just nice sometimes to just get something around your selection. So we'll press spacebar and we'll go to decap. And with decap, we can actually press X to change the axis, and we're just bringing it down. And we can see inside the decap that one of our booleans did not work out for us. So we should actually right click cancel that and just examine this and see what can be done to make it better. Because of the boolean panel, we can go in and change everything to be exact at the same time, or change it to be fast in order to see how everything would fail under the old boolean system of working this way. But we'll just change it over to exact, and let's actually bring back this boolean, and we just want to double check and make sure we did not leave a double edge here. Let's try moving it over, and we see that it's just going to give us the business. And this is something that shouldn't even be happening. So I'm going to select the main shape and just shift scroll through modifier scroll and see if we can find the moment where it goes wrong. I'm just pressing A in order to toggle the boolean to be off and on for this particular area, but we'll go ahead and turn the rest of those modifiers back on. And probably the easiest way to deal with this would be to either fandangle the bool shape if we wanted to keep it live, which really doesn't matter, or we can just apply it and continue on with our live. So we'll just go with the latter. So we'll choose Smart Apply, and I'm going to press slash to go in local mode. And let's just take a look at this. So it looks like it didn't even make the connection. So let's get back out of local, and we're back to being live again. And I'm just going to grab this face and just attempt to move it. And if we're lucky, it now has the penetration that we were aiming for. So now we can continue. So the next thing from here is I will press QOT, and we'll press spacebar in order to jump to decap. And I'll press X a couple of times to change the axis. And the goal here is really to just get the body of it. So we're not trying to create an array mesh. We just want a shape in the form of our actual body. So clicking that will suffice, and now we have our resulting mesh. And this is something that I find myself doing quite a bit. So we'll select this with L, press Control I to select the inverted, and we'll remove it. And now we have a basically manifold bool shape that fits around our shape thanks to the power of decap. So we'll snap this to the bottom. We'll grab this top face, GZ, snap to the top, and we can even control click this in order to add a bevel, but we have to press N and do a reverse bevel because it's not facing out, or it's not a bool shape, so it's not going to flip the normal automatically. But we do want to take this time to shade this as wire, and we can select this shape, and press Control P and just perform an parent, except we'll choose object keep transformation. And so here we are, fairly good to go. However, we do want to go ahead and just take this moment to Smart Apply so we don't have to deal with the heaviness of all the booleans. And we can even Shift S, put our origin to selection here, so that way we're now looking at it flush from the ground. And if we just lift this face up slightly just on the Z, we just want to make sure we have a nice penetration flush amount, just because I'm superstitious when it comes to inserts. From here, we're good to go. So I'm going to power save this as KitOps test, and just by clicking that, it will just save our file. And we can press N and jump into the KitOps panel. And I actually want to take this moment to jump over to the folder that we were creating, which was called New Demo. And this is the folder we've been working on over the course of this KitOps playlist. And we want to choose to create insert. And notice that I only have the parent selected. We create insert, and we mark this as cutter, and we see that our children are already here as well. And it looks like we even got some unnecessary cutters as well. So that's never good. You know, I actually think it was due to the auto parenting, keeping everything intact. So that's something that I'll be checking into, but more than likely we don't need to bring over all the children. But that's an example of sometimes a system working against you, but deleting it, we're back on track. So we'll choose Save Insert, And because I was already looking at the folder that I was in, we'll just call this call it ribbed insert 1_1. And if we press 0, we can look at it through camera, and we'll just choose to render our thumbnail. But before that, I just want to make sure that we are using Eevee this time. I believe Optics is having some issues with some of the render settings of cycles, so you just want to make sure that if you're using a bevel node that you're not using Optics at this time, even though Optics is just so much fun to be playing with nowadays. So we'll go ahead and save our insert again, and we'll close our factory scene. And this file, we saved it when it was good anyways. And we can just press in, go under KitOps. In fact, let's actually turn this into a piece worthy of insertion. And by worthy, I mean just a slope. And we can go to our new demo folder. And we are just looking for our newest insert on the block, which is just ribbed insert. Forgot to give it a material. So me being the way I am, I'm always in a testing frame of mind. So sometimes I will just copy what I have to the clipboard. I'll just choose to edit this. You know, we can go in the end panel, click on KitOps, and choose to shift click to load our thumbnail scene, camera to insert, maybe turn off auto select insert so that we can just slap this with a blank material. Maybe even embellish it a little bit with a little bit of sharpen and weight it normal. And then we can render our thumbnail. And we see that that's the error that we get if you're using Optics, which, how can you not use Optics? It's just so fun. But if I go under System and we just jump this down to CUDA, we're good to go. And we'll just render our thumbnail. And then we can close our scene. And we're just going to just make a new file just like before. I'm just going to paste the example of where I was before I was cut off by an ugly looking insert. And we'll go to new demo. And we're just looking for ribbed insert. And just by adding it, we see that just like that, we're able to quickly get in and use the power of exact booleans, decap to shape in order to just quickly get a shape, to have something conforming around it that you're able to use as the bool shape for penetrating with the volume. And then from there, you can just export it out with KitOps, save it, render a nice little thumbnail, and then the next thing you know, you're able to use this in your scene. Of course, have a selection made so that way you're able to raycast to the surface. But with that, you are good to go. In fact, another little trick I love to use with KitOps is, you see how all the inserts are placed on another collection? I will just select everything, press Q, and under settings, we can first control click on manage, which will evict our cutters. And then if we click on manage, without even reading a tooltip, we can just press F9 and we know that we're going to unify, which means that, you know, by having our active selection on this layer, we choose unify. We now have everything that's solid shaded placed on the correct layer for visibility. In fact, as I look at this insert, you know, I realized that we probably should go in and be a little more OCD with it. So we'll edit insert and we'll go in here and sharpen. We'll hit it with a bevel. We'll hit it with the weighted normal. And we could continue messing with it from here, but that's actually enough for this particular video. I just want to get in and just do a revisit of the first insert that was made with this particular version of KitOps. And I thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. I figured I could do an extended cut where I basically attempt it, you know, the classic way and just compare the speed, you know, try to just be optimal. So let's do that. We press Control B, C, we grab this edge, remove it, we grab these two, J lightning bolt, we duplicated R90, RR, or Shift R, Shift R. We'll place that one there. So these two may union, these two may union. And we'll just scale these down a little bit or scale them up just to overshoot nicely. And the law of overshoot has just been so good to me over the years. I've just become quite acquainted with it as a Boolean rule that, you know, sometimes old habits are hard to break, and it's hard to get acquainted with new rules. But I feel that every Boolean has a new set of rules that you have to get acquainted with in order to coexist nicely with it. So we'll just put our hole there, and we see that the exact is a bit of a performance hit whenever you're using these in a stack. So that's one thing I've noticed over the course of using it, is no matter the computer, exact can bring it to its knees, which is strange because I've jumped back on a Threadripper and gave that thing a try with these just to see if they would just pile drive through booleans. And all of these systems, of course, have their own limitations, but once you're aware of them, I feel you're able to get the most out of it. So we'll take this moment to perform a smart apply, and easiest path to victory with obtaining a manual reverse bevel or just a bevel is just to select it and bevel it. And then we can, while using box, we'll just draw a box in here. Probably should have done that from the get-go. And then we can alt scroll over to end-gun line and just begin doing our cutouts. And one of my favorite things about cutting a cutter is being able to come back on the side and just double back with end-gun and hit it up to really put some details in there. And this is just really us getting started. So we tap into edit mode, we can grab these edges and give them a nice little bevel, not too much, but just enough. And this edge on the inside isn't even real, so we could bull scroll that, bring it back, and just modify that shape as well on these edges. And here we are, basically good to go. So the next thing is QOT to shape, spacebar, decap. And I really had been meaning to come back and do a tutorial kind of talking about how I use decap with KitOps, because even the old version of to shape had a bit of a history. So we're doing the same thing as before, where we're just grabbing this and snapping it using vertice to the top face, and we grab it and snap it to the bottom, and we'll shade it as wire, but then select the top face and mark it, and we see that that still doesn't send it going the other way. So good on HardOps for not marking wire shapes as bold shapes. That wouldn't be smart. Shift S, origin to selection, select both of these, Control P, object control, what is this? Object keep transform. I've never read these options. I don't know, I'm blind. But we can go ahead and just bring this up, and here we are with our shape. So because of the circumstances, I am going to just smart apply, and I'm also going to delete the whole hierarchy of cutters because nobody got time for that. And we probably do want to be a little critical on our bevel, especially when we get stuff like that. That's not gonna boolean well. You know, no boolean algorithm will save you if you have your geometry overshooting. So sometimes you got to have a vigilant eye. You know, I've been playing a lot with this space mouse, but this thing is so tough. In fact, I'm trying to zoom in and just give me the business. I'll check into that later. But continuing on with just wrapping this up very quickly is if we press it. Also, let's put a blank material on it, and we'll look at it in the render and take this moment to slap a bevel on it just to really get things popping off right. No need to embellish it just for the render. And we just go to KitOps, jump to the pack that we would like to add to, which in this case is new demo. All these inserts are in a playlist. I've been making them over the course of these videos, and we'll just choose to create insert, and we'll change this to cutter, and we have one cutter left, always a straggler. And I added a weight at normal by alt-clicking sharpen just to get that just right. And we'll take this moment to save our insert, ribbed insert 1_1. Might as well just call this 2_1. And we'll just look at it from camera view. So far so good. And I just gotta stick with the cycles. It's currently Chip's default scene, so I haven't been changing it out, even though optics isn't supported. I'm all about that optics life now. But let's go ahead and render our thumbnail, and we wait just a moment, and that moment is over. We save our insert, close our scene, and our shading gets messed up for our wireframe, but that's really nothing. We'll just save this as insert test. If you ever wonder where these power saves go, I do always give these out on my Patreon. We'll just Control N, make a new file, and let's press N, go to KitOps, and jump to new demo. And let's take a look at that new insert we just created. So a brief moment to wait, and there we are looking at a beautiful new insert. And we'll take this moment to just add our insert, and plop plop, you can't stop. Also, I should take a moment to talk about KitOps Batch. Just recently come out. KitOps Batch focuses on dealing with inserts in a larger scale. However, I do plan to do a video going into more depth on it. But if you are interested in it, definitely this boolean is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. Let's edit this insert. I can't pitch another product while looking at some bad bevels happening. Let's get in here and talk about that. Why is it happening? Let's talk about that. It's a near miss. It's always a near miss. Just like burnout. Greatest accidents caused by the near misses. Some of the nearest misses. And really that one vert was all it took. We could have lowered the bevel of this whole shape by being lazy. We also could have put a weld in there. So let's undo a little bit and talk about weld. One of my favorite ways to use weld is bring it in and then roll it until it starts to eat your bevel, and then just move it up one in the stack, and you are just good to go. That's really all there is to it. So if we go up to KitOps, save our insert, we can press Control N, and now I can actually close out this video without looking at some visual situation in front of my face. But we start plopping down this insert, and everything's just looking good. Out loud, sometimes I ponder having a create insert button bigger than add insert, but that's just me. But with that, I can wrap up this video. I'd like to thank all you guys for watching. Hope that y'all have been having some fun with KitOps in this latest update. There's been a lot more to it as well that I haven't even went over yet. But with that, I'll wrap up this video, and I'll see you guys next time.